Hello, welcome to well, I guess we can call it a cup of Joe. That's what I've been calling it, and I keep sometimes trying to think of a different name for it because I think it's kind of cheesy, but I guess it is what it is. I also must confess that I'm not actually drinking coffee right now because it's just about, well, it is 5 p.m. and I like to sleep, so don't have any coffee at the moment. But it's been such a long time since I made one of these, and I just wanted to go ahead and make one. This year has been strange, interesting, challenging, are all words that can be used amongst others. Gone through with the magazine a whole lot of introspection when the pandemic started and everyone started having to stay at home. I did give some consideration to doing a whole lot more videos. So as I record this video is going to be on YouTube. It will also be on Instagram as I'm starting to try to get the Instagram going again for the business for Extracted Magazine. So that's Instagram.com/ExtractedMagazine if you're on YouTube. If you're on Instagram, you go to YouTube actually you can go to extractedmagazine.com/TV. Also on Instagram, just visit the link in the bio and that'll take you to everything you want to check out. You can go to YouTube, you can get the quiz, you can get the magazine, all those fun things. So again, stay at home, everyone's watching a whole bunch of stuff, and obviously it's a great time to make a bunch of content because everyone's looking for more stuff to watch. But if you have watched a lot of my stuff and read a lot of my stuff, I don't think I say this a whole lot, but I do say it here and there. I'm not one to make things because they will get that kind of result. Like I really don't like making a video on here because there's something to take advantage of to get a lot more viewers, in that way. Obviously, there are strategies to making videos and naming them and that kind of thing based off what people are searching, but that's a different kind of thing. That's like providing answers to people's questions and challenges and problems. It's another thing, I think, to kind of take advantage of a situation for the purpose of just getting more viewers. Even though that's like the smart business thing to do, but anyhow, with the stay-at-home, everything also became much more complicated for all of life, my life as well, as everyone's has. And I didn't have the time to make a whole lot of videos, and when I did, I just wasn't really feeling it. And I think I just needed the time to think a lot more deeply about what I'm doing and make sure that I am doing the right things, that I'm doing the right things with the magazine, with the YouTube channel, with Instagram. I've always been very mission-driven in my work, and one thing that I realized is that I've never really, well, I have shared like the epiphanies that I've had along the way, but not a whole lot. I think you actually have to dig for them to find them. Sometimes I forget that point because I think about them all the time and they influence all the other work that I do. And because I'm working on certain aspects of marketing for the magazine, I run into them a lot. But I begin to realize that you could watch 100 videos on the YouTube channel, never see me talk about the epiphanies, or read 50 magazine issues and never see that, which is probably wrong. I probably need to share that more, because I think it's when you come to an epiphany, an understanding of something new, that is the gateway to going further with it. And it's those epiphanies along my journey which have led me to make all the things that I've made and to try to bring this understanding to you. So I wanted to share my original epiphany and coffee here. To start with, there have been multiple others along the way, and I'm actually still trying to think through what exactly they were, because the deeper I got into them, the more they just kind of fluidly wove into my experience, but they were distinct. Those epiphany experiences, like the first time having Yemen, that was a particularly eye-opening experience that I have spoken about before, but not in terms of what it did for my perception of coffee. I mean, I have spoken about that in different ways, but not explicitly. So I want to talk about the first epiphany that I had in coffee. The original nugget experience, which got me to dive so deep into things that I created a magazine where I have published over 90 issues of in the past 7 years, and I have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos on it. Passion for what I do, obviously, but there is like a starting point, and I want to share that with you. So before I do that, I have a new shirt. I've been working on some fun and interesting shirt designs because who doesn't love a delightful coffee shirt? So this is actually the first one. I just got this in the mail today. Super excited to have it. And I want to ask, do you want this? If you do and you're on YouTube, comment below, comment the video below. And if you're on Instagram, send me a direct message. Because I think this is, I'm not sure how this is going to go up. If you can comment on this video on Instagram, comment on that, or send me a direct message would be the best way. I don't actually have a way for you to buy this as I'm recording it, but I'm going to set something up if there are people who want to get it. I just have been working with some artists, and I really love this, and I want it as a shirt, and here it is. So if you would like it too, I can make that possible. Okay, now one moment. By the way, this is a Silver Needles tea that I'm drinking. Okay, so back to coffee. When I first started drinking coffee, so I didn't drink coffee all through college. I actually originally found coffee really, really unappealing, rather disgusting. I had coffee a few times. I had originally tried, I know I originally tried just straight brewed coffee. My mom would always brew coffee in the morning, but it was bitter and gross, and I didn't like it. And then I remember trying one of those bottled frappuccinos. I don't know if you ever had one of those. I don't know if Starbucks still makes them, but it was Starbucks brand like bottled frappuccino, which was really, as we know, those are just coffee flavored, milkshakes basically. The bottled ones were not like icy slushy like the frappuccinos you get in the store, but it was like really sugary milk-based coffee drink. And of course, there was an enjoyable element to that because it's super sweet, sugary. But I also wasn't terribly into them. And I remember thinking in college, seeing a lot of people drinking coffee, I don't want to be, that stuff is gross, and B, I don't want to get addicted to it, and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't drink coffee. It was after graduating college, going to the workforce, and working a regular 9 to 5, which I really didn't enjoy at all. I found solace in the escape to the cafe, the little Starbucks down the street. My friend Michael Mage, who did the design for the magazine for a long time, he worked in the same place, and we would go take coffee breaks, a lot of coffee breaks, and drink a lot of Starbucks coffee. And of course, I started with the frappuccinos, the mochas, and eventually it started graduating to lattes. I remember going from mocha to flavored latte and being like, yes, I'm getting more sophisticated. And then dropping the flavoring from the latte. And then finally getting into the brewed coffee. And I kept doing this because I think there was an element of health motivation. I wanted to drink less calories. But also there was that sophistication element as well. And because I was visiting the cafe so often, I would every now and then hear someone talk about the uniqueness and complexity of coffee. I'm a very curious individual, so this piqued my curiosity. hearing someone talk about really distinct and rich flavors in a coffee, and then I would try it and wonder, what the heck is this? Is this person just BSing? You know, it sounds like a bunch of nonsense. You know, maybe I just don't get it. But I did end up kind of forcing myself to drink brewed coffee black, and their black brewed coffee is, you know, it's dark roasted stuff. I guess these days they have their blonde roast, which is not charcoal. I did try that once. Don't like it. That's all I'll say about it. I think I got it, and I was gonna make a video on it, but I couldn't say anything nice about it, so I didn't make a video. Anyway, really hard to drink dark roast, brewed with nothing added. I learned some tips to deal with the bitterness, like adding cinnamon. Actually ended up being quite an appealing trick. But I did it because it was an escape, you know, an escape from work. It was a drug that was really enjoyable, you know, heightened my mood and my enjoyment for the day, just having the cup. But I didn't really enjoy the taste that much. Hated the coffee breath and the stained teeth and all that kind of stuff. Fast forward to like 2-3 years of that, and I start, as I'm getting into doing a lot of work in marketing and trying to work with local businesses, I start exploring the independent cafe scene in Seattle. It's something I had always wanted to do, as I'd always like gone to Starbucks, and being in Seattle, I was like, well, why am I always going to Starbucks? There's supposed to be this huge coffee culture. Why is it just Starbucks? So I started exploring all the different cafes, and it was largely the same thing that I would run across until one day. And I'll tell you, this cafe was actually the original spot of Kuma Coffee, if you're familiar with Kuma Coffee Roasters. So when I found it, it was actually still called Kuma Coffee. It was not owned by Kuma Coffee Roasters at this point. It was just its own little independent cafe. It was offering Kuma Coffee, but it was just a little tiny cafe, and it was owned by someone who was really passionate about the intricacies of coffee, really passionate about what I would say specialty coffee at this point, although I had no idea what that was at the time. But it was this person who just would love to talk about coffee all day, every day, and the ins and outs of the coffee industry and what people are interested in and what you could discover and that sort of thing. So I kept coming back to have conversations with him. And I would always kind of order. Yeah, I on those trips I don't remember having much of a serious epiphany or anything. I think I always just kind of ordered a latte or something like that, because that's what I always did. Then one day I came in. I remember it being a really hot day, and it was even like rather hot in the cafe. I had like the whole front kind of opened up to this tiny little sort of outdoor seating area, like a seating area enough where you could sit like 4 people in a row, and then there was the sidewalk. And it was not busy. There wasn't anyone else there. I walked in, and the owner wasn't there. It was a barista. Barista was equally enthusiastic about coffee. But I walked in, tired, hot day, and he asks me, well, what do you want? And I just kind of stared at the board, and I was like thinking to myself, I don't know, I just want coffee. And I thought I was thinking that to myself, but I said it out loud, and he was like, he laughed, and and he said, well, hey man, do you got some time? I could be happy to just make you a bunch of stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Whatever. He started talking about all the intricacies of brewing coffee and making it and the different tastes and stuff. And as he was doing this, he was making an espresso. I had never had a straight up espresso before at that time. He makes the espresso, he hands it to me, and I kind of look at it, and I'm just like, I've never had an espresso before. He's like, huh? I'm like, oh, just sip it. Like, sip it. I don't just like, it's like, no, take a sip. Take a sip. So I took a sip. And I had always envisioned espresso being this like really concentrated like version of the bitter Blackwater coffee that I was used to. So like really, really concentrated and bitter, like thick and syrupy. And that first sip, I still remember it was just like drinking lemons, just like a burst of lemon flavor across my tongue, and sweet and like no bitterness, not in the way that I was used to with coffee. You could say there's bitterness in lemon, and there was that kind of bite to it, but no bitterness, and I was floored, fascinated. I took that first sip and I was like, whoa. And he was like, yeah, pretty good, huh? Try it again. And I tried it again. Oranges, it had like changed on me. Boom. Like this just taste experience washing over my senses went through it. And I just stood there for a moment completely dumbfounded. I was like, this is what coffee can actually taste like? Because coffee had always been this kind of dark, bitter thing that I had to force myself or trick myself to drink, right? Either add a bunch of stuff to it to kind of make it palatable, or just power through the things that I didn't like about it. This coffee was not like that. This coffee was something that wasn't just drinkable. It wasn't just enjoyable. It was like a stunningly fascinating taste exploration in a tiny little cup. And how could you ever say no to that kind of experience? Oh my gosh. I was stunned and like taken aback and taken in and completely enamored with coffee from that point. I mean, I know on that day I had a bunch of other coffees with him. He like brewed on the French press. He made like a cappuccino and a couple other things, and I just tasted coffee in all these different ways, and I just never had comprehended before that coffee could have been like that. And I remember thinking that this is here all along, like in Seattle. And he pointed me to a bunch of other places to try, and I went to these different cafes and had similar experiences, and I was like, how could I have gone my entire life without knowing that coffee can actually taste good? Like, what are people doing in this world, drinking garbage and not drinking the taste delights that are completely possible? So that is the thing that drove me to make the magazine, because I had been spending time trying to research and learn about coffee, and it wasn't until I had that one experience with that one individual who just showed me what was possible that I was able to realize. But there had been nothing before that had been able to show me this understanding, this new vision of what could be. So that is my first sort of epiphany, first eye-opening experience of all that is possible in coffee. I am delighted to say that I have had many experiences since then that have been very similar, and in different ways with different parts of coffee, because it is one of the most glorious and delightful things that we create in this world for a number of reasons. And I will be happy to continue sharing those with you here. For now, though, I think I will leave it at that. If you've listened to it thus far, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story. If you're on Instagram, click the link in the bio. If you want to learn more, obviously you can check out Extracted Magazine there. You can also sign up to the newsletter. There's a fun quiz to take. You can go over to the YouTube. If you're on YouTube, I will link to, tell you what, I'll link to a similar page just to make it simple. Go to the link below the video and check out all the things that there are to offer in the world of what I do with coffee. And again, if you want this shirt, send me a direct message on Instagram or comment below on YouTube that you would like this shirt, and I will put together a way for you to get it. It would be awesome if, a bunch of people like these shirts. I'd love to do a whole series. I'm actually working with the artist on a couple more. Whether anyone wants to buy them or not, I want them for myself, so I'm going to keep making them. But if you want them, I can make that possible. Just let me know. Again, thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're on Instagram, follow me if you aren't already. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.